Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of For What It's Nerd. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to try and do this kind of quick fire because there's a lot of other things going on as well. First off, we have had a lot of trailers over the last week. Rings of Power, which I've sadly not had to watch, but it's worth noting that that's out there. I do want to get caught up on Rings of Power. Maybe we will, get to catch up, and then we can discuss season 3 as that comes out. Then the Doomsday trailer, which I'm not going to discuss as the trailer because I'm going to discuss it as part of the larger San Diego Comic-Con discussion a little bit later on. There is also the Avatar 7 Havens trailer that came out. That's obviously been announced to come out later this year. All of the episodes will be coming out at once, as it sounds. I think they said 26 episodes, but then someone said that it's going to come in 2 halves. But that's going to be October 29th. That looks pretty good, in my opinion. I think the colouring for that show looks amazing. Obviously, the story we'll wait and see, but it does look like Vaatu is returning in some way, which will be interesting to see how that comes about. And then we have the Lanterns trailer, which changed up a lot of opinion on the show, actually. So everyone's been sort of saying, what is this? This doesn't feel like Green Lanterns. It feels very generic. And obviously this last trailer comes out and kind of gives us a little bit more of an insight of what's actually going on. It's a little bit more intergalactic than we first thought. The Manhunters are there. Sinestro shows up in this trailer as well. And it just kind of gives a little bit more of a taste of what that universe is. That side of the universe for DCU is. So that's coming soon. That's August 16th. So look out for a discussion on that as well down the line. Of course, as well, it's worth mentioning that Spider-Man comes out next week. Spider-Man was shown at San Diego Comic-Con. A few little tidbits were there. Again, not really going to discuss that because that is coming out in under a week, really. So that's not going to be mentioned on this one. So really what we're going to focus on is some of the new announcements and then talking about Doomsday. But I want to kind of discuss those quickly first and give you sort of a quick fire, like, oh, this looks cool, this looks cool. We'll be talking about that. We'll be looking at this. We'll be discussing that. Oh, also, totally forgot to say, speaking of Avatar again, the Aang movie finally came out. Of course, it was leaked a few months back, the full movie. It came out. I only wanted to watch it when it came out properly. It felt only right. Watched it, and I enjoyed it. It's not anything masterful. It's not like the best thing ever, but it's very fun. The colors are really cool. Some of the laughs are quite funny, actually. I did enjoy it. It's not groundbreaking because obviously it's bridging a gap that obviously you can't do much in, and what they kind of decide to be the plot point for this is something that's just kind of dealt with in Korra, so you can't really do too much with it. But with what they did was very fun. It was nice to see Dave Bautista as the villain in this one as Targa, and that was quite good. So if you guys want to watch it, definitely watch it. It's a fun watch. It's a fun watch. So that is sort of what's happened this week. Now let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con. So first off, let's quickly go through those announcements, which is that Ghost Rider has been announced for 2028. I think we got a date. Did we get a date? 1 second. Did we get a date? I am keeping everything open on my on the side as well. No, we didn't get a date. We just know that it's coming in 2028, sorry. And that is going to be Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider. And Sean Levy is going to be directing, who they are currently working together on Star Wars Starfighter. I think even the writer from Star Wars Starfighter is coming over to do Ghost Rider. So they must have a lot of faith in Star Wars Starfighter, which is quite good. And obviously, we'll see how Ghost Rider goes. I'm not concerned about the casting. I think Ryan Gosling puts his heart into whatever he does. I think he's very good in that way. And that's why I think I'm going to enjoy him in Starfighter. Sean Levy, there are some complaints and concerns about Sean Levy in different places, but we shall see how it goes. I mean, it could be fun. It could still be fun. There's definitely been performances that people have liked in spite of directors, as we know in previous examples. So we shall keep an eye out for that. Also, we got the announcement for Black Panther 3. Now, this has a little bit of implication because so we got the announcement of Black Panther 3. We got the announcement that Ryan Coogler is coming back, which is obviously great. That's his trilogy. It makes sense. And then we learned that that's coming out on December 15th, 2028. So sort of like after that everything's sort of done, I think. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays into the wider universe. And the reason that's going to be interesting is David Johnson is being cast as T'Challa's son in Black Panther 3. What that means is the son that we saw in Black Panther 2, who was sort of maybe about 10 at the time, is now going to be aged up. What does that mean for the universe? Especially because Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri, was still there and is said to be part of the film. Now, could they age her up? Arguably, yes, they could, but I don't think that's the case. I think something's going to happen, obviously, within. I mean, we've already had discussion from Kevin Feige saying that the universe is going to sort of reset after, not reset, but re-merge. It's going to be basically sort of what the CW did when they put all their shows into the same timeline, in the same world, in the same universe, rather than being cross different sort of timelines in a way. So I think that's what's going to happen here. I think basically you're going to have everything merged, but you're going to have some shenanigans that happen within that. Obviously, we're going to have a Black Panther in the form of T'Challa's son, who also was called T'Challa, I believe. So I actually think it's very smart, because what it does is it honors. It still honors Chadwick, and I know a lot of people still believe that should be the case, that character shouldn't be touched. I don't think that's necessarily the case forever, but I understand why that was the case in the first instance. But in the way, it also gives a buffer to allow a T'Challa to exist, and then, as well as that, it allows for... You can do some kind of, you can kind of then in the future, if you ever do reboot fully or anything like that, you can do it again. You can start again. It's a good buffer. And what it actually does is, and I know this might sound weird to some people, but if they do start the X-Men saga and they want to do kind of the Storm BP kind of situation, they can do that now, which is kind of interesting that we're back in that scenario. But that could happen, and it could be that it's the second T'Challa, who is essentially T'Challa again. It's just that they're trying to. It's a little interesting in that way, but it works, and it could work. And so it's an interesting thought to think that, you know, if the X-Men do come around, could we potentially have Black Panther and Storm still happen within the MCU? It does allow that opportunity again. And then, of course, Doomsday was the big feature. And to be honest, I have to say, and I'm really, I was disappointed. I stayed up late. I wanted to learn everything as it was coming out. And did I feel like we got anything really super interesting about this movie? No, if I'm honest. And I understand they can't give too much away, but I thought they'd give like a few more castings, or like people who are going to be in this. Sure, like bring on like some of the Guardians, or just I not that wasn't like my specific excitement, so to speak, but I just thought there would be something else that would happen in this than just kind of bringing out the people that we already knew about. But we did get the announcement, well, not announcement, but the confirmation that Hayley Atwell is going to be returning as Peggy Carter in Doomsday. And then essentially they talked about the movie for a bit. They kind of went over everything that's going to happen in the movie, sort of like saying there's this kind of little bit of tension between Reed and Doom. You see Deadpool in a Ryan Reynolds, of course, was there. Deadpool in like this grey suit. It basically, the idea is that Doom does have this kind of history with the Fantastic Four. So is the idea that he is from their Earth in the initial sense, and he's starting this off because of something to do with, you know, what's going on with these incursions, etc. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, I'm glad that kind of are intimating some of that kind of Doom-esque backstory, proper Doom-esque backstory into the movie, rather than just kind of having him be Doom but not be Doom, if that makes sense. So we shall see how that goes. I kind of have quick fire at this, because if I'm honest, the news this week is there has been news. And what I mean by that is all of these things are kind of like worthy of discussion in the broader sense, but I don't feel like there's anything to super dig your teeth into and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, that's happening. Other people will sit there and analyze it for hours. You guys know I try not to do that as much as possible. I really don't believe in sitting there and kind of taking some news that was a 2-minute thing on a panel, if you want to call it a panel, a presentation, and making it into a whole hour video. It's just not what I do. Here are my quick fire thoughts, and that's it. That's where we're at. So if you guys enjoyed this, let me know. If you guys like any of these projects that are coming up and want to hear more about them when they do come out, let me know as well. Obviously, it's always good to know what people are interested in, to kind of really hone in on those when there's like extra news. Like this week, it was very hard because there's so much news coming out, so many things to discuss. It's like, what do I actually focus in on. And obviously, San Diego Comic Con is the big one, and the new announcements are sort of the big one. But like in general, there's so much going on this week, and this is just TV and movies, never mind gaming and stuff like that. So it's been a really weird big week for just nerd culture in general. I hope you guys have enjoyed all that too, and yeah, I will see you guys soon for more. Until then, as always, thank you for listening and watching, guys. Bye.